I'm David Henderson. I'm a research fellow with the Hoover Institution and an emeritus professor of economics with the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. I also blog regularly at EconLog, which you can find at www.econlib.org. I blog about 20 to 25 posts a month. One of the issues that's come up with climate change is whether to adapt or to prevent. I think given the relative lack of knowledge of the science, I mean, we think climate change is happening, but we don't know whether it's going to be 2 degrees centigrade or 4 degrees centigrade or 1 degree centigrade 100 years from now. What we're pretty sure of is it's going to be something that happens slowly over the next few decades. So then the question is, do we try to prevent that from happening, or do we try to mitigate? Do we try to adjust? So there's a case to be made for adjustment, given that we have so much time to adjust. Some people think that because human life is so precious, and I agree that it's precious, that therefore we should do anything we can to combat climate change. The problem is there's so many other ways of getting even more human lives saved. Because we have all this time to adjust to climate change, we can do so probably without putting at risk any human lives. Whereas we could do something now to get clean water for people in Africa, and that would probably save way many more lives. Some people think that cost-benefit analysis is this very narrow green eye shade way of looking at the world. In fact, it's a very inclusive way of looking at the world. The whole reason for cost-benefit analysis is that we often take actions that impose costs on others. Those are often called social costs. So the whole point of cost-benefit analysis is to include social costs. Now you could say we do it badly, well then let's do it better. But environmental costs, costs to others who have no role in choosing the actions, those are the bread and butter of cost-benefit analysis. Whenever you have a use of resources, the economists ask, no matter what their ideology, what are the alternate uses of those resources? Are there more valuable uses? So for example, if we didn't put resources into combating climate change, what could we do with them? Well, we can improve general health. We could go after vaccines for certain diseases. We could do lots of things that would save human lives. And so we've got to take account of those costs, they're called opportunity costs, when we say we're going to spend all these resources on combating climate change. It will be very difficult for both sides to work together on climate change. Both sides seem to have kind of dug in their heels. But to say it's difficult is not to say it's not worthwhile. I mean, what have we got? We're kind of at a standstill. We aren't doing much, so why not consider various ways of adapting to climate change? And I guess I would say I'm a short-run pessimist, but a long-run optimist. I'm not enough of a climate scientist, in fact, I'm not a climate scientist at all, I'm an economist, to know to what extent climate change is happening. My kind of gut feel, based on looking at data, is that it's happening slowly, fortunately. But whether it's happening and to what extent it's happening, the point is we have lots of time to do things about it, to study it more, to see how quickly it's happening, and then to decide, should we try to combat it or should we try to mitigate? So for example, Rotterdam built dams way back when those were very high tech for the time. We can build dams. Buildings typically last 50 years. That's the kind of time frame we're talking about. So we could, in the limit, move Miami a couple of miles over 50 to 100 years. And that sounds crazy, but it's probably relatively cheap relative to some of the things I've heard about how to combat climate change. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will answer many of them.